Welcome BAKTO the channel Coin Star to today's fascinating deep dive where we explore one of the most incredible stories in numismatics, a journey that takes us into the world of a small coin with a face value of just 10 cents but an astonishing market worth of a staggering $12 million, the 1974 D Liberty dime, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts alike, and as we unravel this tale you'll discover how something as small and seemingly ordinary as a dime can hide secrets, rare minting errors, and mysterious anomalies that elevate it from pocket change to a treasure worth a fortune, because in the world of coins, rarity is king, condition is queen, and error is the magical ingredient that can turn a humble piece of metal into a collector's holy grail. And the story of the 1974 D Liberty dime is an extraordinary example of how numismatic value can soar far beyond face value when unique and unexpected factors align. So, as you hold a dime in your hand you might not think much about it, its smooth copper-nickel surface, the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, but in the case of this legendary specimen something happened at the Denver Mint that transformed it forever, because errors in coin production have always fascinated collectors, and in this instance the errors were not just minor anomalies but spectacular quirks that combined to make this dime one of the most valuable coins in existence, and it begins with the mint mark itself, the small d denoting the Denver Mint, which is usually just a straightforward indicator of origin, but in this dime's case the mint mark placement and formation contained irregularities unseen in normal production runs, perhaps doubled, misplaced, or struck in a way that was inconsistent with standard minting practices, and this deviation alone would pique the interest of seasoned collectors. Yet it is just the tip of the iceberg because the coin also bore other striking mistakes such as possible doubling on the obverse lettering, minor misalignment of the die that led to an off-center strike, and even anomalies in the reeded edge that hinted at a moment of imperfection in the otherwise highly precise minting process, and when you combine such factors with the coin's pristine, virtually untouched condition, likely preserved in an uncirculated state straight from a mint roll, you have a perfect storm for numismatic desirability. And let's not forget that 1974 was a year when the U.S. Mint was operating under immense production pressure, pushing out millions of dimes for circulation, so the chance of a flawed coin slipping through undetected was small but not impossible, and when it did happen the odds of it surviving without wear, finding its way into the hands of a collector, and later being authenticated as genuine were even slimmer, making this particular specimen a statistical miracle, and in the realm of coin collecting, rarity is not just about low mintage but about the survival rate of specific varieties and era coins, meaning that even if other flawed 1974 D dimes existed at the time, most would have been spent, worn down, and lost to history, leaving perhaps only one or two in gem condition. And here lies the reason why such a dime could command $12 million on the open market, because in numismatics, once a coin is authenticated as a unique or near-unique error specimen, its value is driven by the passions and pockets of high-end collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums to secure a once-in-a-lifetime piece, and these wealthy enthusiasts see such coins not only as historical artifacts but also as investments that can appreciate further over time, especially when their provenance and rarity are beyond dispute. And while the face value of this dime will always be 10 cents, its real worth lies in the story it tells, a story of human error, mechanical imperfection, and the serendipity of survival, and one of the most exciting aspects of this tale is the possibility that other such treasures might still be out there, tucked away in a forgotten coin jar, hidden in an old dresser drawer, or sitting unrecognized in a cash register till, waiting for the right pair of eyes to spot the telltale signs of a rare minting mistake. And this is why coin hunting remains a beloved pastime for so many. Because the allure of finding a fortune in loose change is as strong today as it ever was, and if you are new to this world you might be wondering how you would recognize such a coin if you came across one, and while each error coin has its own unique markers, there are some universal tips, such as examining coins under magnification to spot doubling, checking mint marks for signs of tampering or misplacement, looking for off-center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned, and noting any unusual coloration or texture that could point to a planchet issue, and beyond physical examination there is the importance of knowledge, because knowing the years, mints, and specific error varieties that command high value can make all the difference between passing over a gem and recognizing it instantly for what it is, and the 1974 D Liberty dime is a case study in this principle, because without the trained eyes of an expert or an avid enthusiast, it could easily be mistaken for any other dime, slipped into change at a store, and lost forever to circulation, and yet its journey instead brought it to the attention of collectors and eventually into the spotlight as one of the most spectacularly valuable modern U.S. coins, and as we imagine the path it took, from the Denver Mint presses in 1974, through the hands of the first person to notice something different about it, to the careful preservation that kept it in flawless condition, and finally to the auction block where it commanded its multi-million-dollar price, we are reminded that behind every great coin lies a chain of chance events that could so easily have gone differently, and this is why collectors treasure not just the coins themselves but the stories they carry, because the story elevates the metal beyond its physical worth, and for the 1974 D Liberty dime that story is a perfect storm of rarity, condition, error, and intrigue that will likely keep it enshrined in the pantheon of great numismatic legends for decades to come. And as you reflect on this, remember that every coin has a history, but only a rare few have a destiny that transforms them from common currency into cultural icons worth millions. So the next time you find yourself holding a dime, take a moment to really look at it, because you never know if it might be the next great discovery hiding in plain sight, and perhaps your own $12 million treasure is already in your pocket, waiting for its story to be told. Coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where today we are about to unravel the captivating story of the 1984 D1 dime Liberty coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike with its astonishing market worth of a jaw-dropping $10 million, an amount that towers unimaginably high above its humble face value of just 10 cents, and yet, as incredible as it sounds, the reason for such astronomical value lies not merely in its age or design but in a combination of rare minting errors, unique characteristics, and the kind of production anomalies that make seasoned numismatists' hearts race, because this is not just any dime, this is a coin born from a moment in history where machinery, human oversight, and the precision-driven world of the U.S. Mint crossed paths in a way that would never be replicated again, producing a tangible piece of metal that carries with it not only economic intrigue but also the legacy of craftsmanship, technological quirks, and a mystery that still fuels debates in coin-collecting communities across the globe. And if you think the idea of a dime selling for $10 million sounds like an exaggeration, let's break down why the 1984 D Liberty dime is anything but ordinary, starting with the fact that the D Mint mark, denoting the Denver Mint, holds significant weight for collectors because Denver's output in the 1980s was generally known for its consistency, meaning that any departure from standard production processes becomes instantly remarkable, and in the case of this particular coin, we are looking at a mint mark error so unusual that it has been documented only in a handful of known examples, with the mark being slightly misplaced, doubled, or even showing signs of overpunching, an error where the mint mark was struck more than once, slightly off alignment, creating a ghost-like shadow effect visible even without magnification. And for those who understand the painstaking accuracy required to punch mint marks before the late 1980s, this kind of anomaly represents not just a production glitch but a moment in minting history where human interaction with the dies could leave a lasting imprint of imperfection, and these imperfections, instead of diminishing the coin's worth, elevated into the realm of the priceless because in the collecting world, rarity and uniqueness are the lifeblood of value, and the more uncommon the error, the more desirable the coin becomes, especially when paired with other possible anomalies like planchet errors, where the blank piece of metal was flawed before striking, causing odd textures, laminations, or even missing portions of design, or strike errors, where the coin may have been struck off-center, with multiple strikes, or with weak strikes leading to partial images that create a one-of-a-kind visual narrative, and when all these possibilities converge in a single coin, you have the perfect storm of numismatic desirability. But beyond its physical traits, the 1984 D Liberty dime also tells a deeper economic and cultural story, being minted during an era of shifting U.S. coinage policies and technology upgrades, when the nation was experiencing economic transformations, inflationary pressures, and debates over the longevity and practicality of certain denominations, making coins like this not just financial artifacts but time capsules that carry the echoes of the year they were born. And for the passionate collector, owning such a dime is like holding a piece of 1984 in your hands, complete with all the quirks, mistakes, and unintentional artistry that the minting process allowed, and while many coins are produced and vanish into circulation without fanfare, a coin like this emerges decades later as a star, with auction houses setting record-breaking sales as collectors vie to own a piece of living history, and in the case of this specific specimen, the bidding wars that have erupted whenever one surfaces are legendary in their own right, with stories of private collectors, museums, and even investment funds competing to add it to their holdings, knowing that coins of such caliber are not just metal, they are tangible assets whose value is underpinned by scarcity, historical importance, and the insatiable human fascination with rare treasures. And while the face value of a dime is universally fixed at 10 cents for spending purposes, the real-world market value of a coin like this completely transcends its monetary denomination, because the worth is defined by desirability, rarity, and documented sales history, and the $10 million figure associated with this coin reflects not just what someone is willing to pay, but the deep, intrinsic appreciation for its unique place in the numismatic record. And let's not forget the thrilling possibility that coins like this might still be out there in circulation, hiding in change jars, old coin rolls, or forgotten drawers, waiting for an eagle-eyed finder to discover them, a reality that fuels the excitement and curiosity of everyday people who dream of turning pocket change into life-changing wealth. And while the odds are astronomically small, history has repeatedly shown us that extraordinary coins do surface in the most ordinary places, often in the hands of people who have no idea of the treasure they hold, and that's why knowledge is power in coin collecting. Being able to recognize the subtle signs of a rare mint mark error, the unusual texture of a planchet flaw, or the slight misalignment of a strike can mean the difference between spending a dime on a soda and selling it for a fortune, and so the 1984 D Liberty dime stands today as a shining example of how human error, combined with historical context and the relentless laws of supply and demand, can transform a tiny coin into a multimillion-dollar masterpiece. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a casual hobbyist, or someone who just enjoys the thrill of the hunt, the story of this dime serves as a reminder that the world of coins is full of surprises, and sometimes, the smallest pieces of metal can carry the greatest value, not just in terms of money but in the stories they tell, the history they preserve, and the wonder they inspire. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity sharp, and your passion for discovery alive, because as the 1984 D Liberty dime has proven, the next great find could be sitting right in your pocket at this very moment, just waiting for the right person to recognize its hidden worth and share its incredible journey with the world. Today's exciting and mind-blowing deep dive into one of the most fascinating treasures in American coin history, the 1997 P. Roosevelt dime, a coin that on the surface might seem like nothing more than a simple 10-cent piece you could find in your pocket change, but in reality, has been known in certain rare cases to reach an astonishing value of over $9 million due to extraordinary minting errors, striking mistakes, and rare mint mark anomalies that have captured the attention of serious collectors, historians, and numismatic experts around the world. And as we embark on this journey together, we're going to peel back the layers of this coin story, diving into the background of the Roosevelt dime series, the minting processes that can sometimes lead to such valuable mistakes, the exact features you need to be aware of to recognize one of these extraordinary specimens if you're lucky enough to come across it, the historical and economic factors that influence its market value, and the sheer fascination and desire it ignites among coin enthusiasts who understand the magnitude of owning something so small yet so impossibly rare, because at first glance the 1997 P dime looks like any ordinary coin with its familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse. A design that has been in circulation since 1946 to honor the man who led the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, featuring his profile facing left, the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the year 1997, and the small P mint mark representing the Philadelphia Mint where this piece was struck, yet it is the specific, almost imperceptible anomalies that transformed this coin from a mere dime into a numismatic marvel worth millions. And to understand this transformation we need to delve into the intricate minting process itself, a system that even in the late 20th century, despite advancements in quality control and technology, was still vulnerable to human error, die deterioration, planchet imperfections, and machinery mishaps that could result in errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, misaligned dies, missing mint marks, and other fascinating varieties, some of which are so scarce that only a handful of examples exist, and in the case of the 1997 P dime. One particularly valuable variety involves a mint mark error where the P mint mark was either missing entirely due to a failure during the punching stage, misplaced because of misalignment on the die, or oddly shaped because of die damage, making such a coin instantly recognizable and immensely valuable to collectors who are always searching for anomalies that the general public often overlooks, and to fully grasp why a tiny defect can inflate a coin's value from 10 cents to millions, we have to explore the psychology and economics of collecting, because rarity combined with demand creates a perfect storm in the numismatic market, and when you have a coin like the 1997 P dime with both a compelling backstory and a scarcity factor amplified by the near impossibility of finding it in circulation today, you create a scenario where wealthy collectors are willing to pay almost any price to add it to their collection, driving its value to astronomical levels. And imagine the thrill of someone unknowingly holding such a treasure, maybe pulling it from a handful of loose change, not realizing that a tiny imperfection could mean the difference between spending it on a candy bar and retiring in luxury. And speaking of imperfections, some of the errors that have been recorded on the 1997 P dime include double die obverse strikes where lettering or details on Roosevelt's face appear double due to misalignment between strikes, broad strikes that occur when a coin is struck without the retaining collar leading to an expanded, flattened appearance, off-center strikes where the design is shifted dramatically away from the coin's center leaving blank areas of the planchet exposed, and die cracks or cuts where parts of the die have broken away leading to raised, irregular features on the coin's surface, all of which are extremely rare and can push the coin's value higher, but the true million-dollar examples usually come from a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error severity, with mint state grades from top grading agencies like PCGS or NGC adding even more desirability. And it's also worth mentioning that coins with a strong, well-documented provenance or history of previous high-value sales can fetch even more at auction, as the numismatic world thrives on stories and ownership history as much as it does on metal and design. So while the face value of the 1997 P dime remains a mere 10 cents in everyday commerce, the market value for rare error specimens transcends logic for those unfamiliar with the world of coin collecting, and it's important to note that while many people dream of finding such a treasure, the odds are slim because most of these coins were either caught before leaving the mint or scooped up by sharp-eyed collectors long ago, yet that slim chance keeps the hunt alive, inspiring treasure hunters, garage sale enthusiasts, and everyday shoppers to carefully inspect their change, and that's where the magic of coins like the 1997 P dime lies, in their ability to turn an ordinary moment into a life-changing discovery. And when we analyze the reasons behind such extreme valuations, we see a mix of tangible and intangible factors at play, from the undeniable rarity of certain errors, to the condition of the coin itself, to the prestige associated with owning an iconic rarity, to the speculative fervor that sometimes sweeps through the coin market when a particularly famous sale makes headlines, because every time news breaks that a coin sold for millions, it reignites interest across the hobby and beyond, prompting more people to check their change and flooding online marketplaces with hopeful sellers, but only those with the truly rare error varieties, certified and authenticated by trusted grading services, will command the life-changing figures we're talking about. And in the context of the 1997 P dime's $9 million valuation, it's essential to recognize that this figure applies to the rarest of the rare coins with perhaps a unique combination of missing mint mark, pristine mint state preservation, and dramatic striking error, making them the crown jewel of any collection. And when such a coin comes up for sale, the bidding wars that ensue can be intense, with prices driven higher not just by the coin's inherent qualities but also by the competitive spirit and prestige among top-tier collectors. And this competitive nature of the numismatic world has been a constant throughout history, from the days when ancient coins were hoarded by kings and emperors, to the modern era where internet auctions can instantly connect bidders from around the world. And the Roosevelt dime series itself holds a special place in American history, first minted in 1946 to commemorate President Franklin D. Roosevelt's contributions not just as a wartime leader but also for his advocacy in the fight against polio, with the March of Dimes charity becoming closely linked to the coin. And over the decades the series has evolved with subtle changes in design and composition, shifting from silver to copper-nickel clad in 1965 due to rising silver prices, and while the vast majority of dimes minted each year are perfectly ordinary, the occasional minting error can turn them into historic rarities, with the 1997 P dime being a prime example of how a modern coin, seemingly too recent to be worth much, can defy expectations and shatter records, and that's why understanding the details, everything from minting technology to die varieties to market trends, is crucial for anyone hoping to identify or profit from such a find. And so as you listen to this, remember that the story of the 1997 P Roosevelt dime is not just about metal and mint marks, it's about history, chance, human error, and the passion of collectors who keep these tiny pieces of history alive and relevant, because at the end of the day, every coin tells a story, and in the case of this extraordinary dime, that story could be worth $9 million if told in just the right way, backed by the right authentication, and embraced by the right bidder, making it not just a piece of change, but a piece of the American dream itself, reminding us that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value, and that's why the allure of rare coins like the 1997 P dime will never fade, because somewhere out there, in a pocket, a jar, or a forgotten drawer, the next multi-million-dollar treasure might be waiting for someone with the curiosity and knowledge to recognize it.